boxing right now. The latest news that we have right now on November 22nd, they're going to add Bam Bam Rodriguez in a unification bout against Fernando Martinez, who is from Argentina. He's 18 and 0 with 9 KOs, and he is the I believe he's the WBA, and he's the IBF. He's the IBF and WBA champion, and Bam Bam Rodriguez is WBC and a WBO champion. And it's a good fight because they both have a very, very aggressive style. And I don't know too much about Fernando Martinez, but his record is good. He's 18 and 0 with 9 KOs. But if you look at the record and the styles of each fighter based on their records, Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez looks like he has more power, but we'll find out in the ring. When they get in the ring, we're going to find out who is the better man that night. But that's an interesting fight. Saludos, Tony. Thanks for tuning in, my brother, Arnaldo Nieves. Gracias por estar en sintonía a mi canal. My #1 fan right here, Arnaldo Nieves, says hi. Thanks for tuning into my channel. Much love, mucho amor. Agradezco el apoyo tuyo. Y gracias por estar en sintonía en mi canal. Thanks for being in tune with my channel. And everybody that's tuning in right now, subscribe. Subscribe to that channel. Don't be afraid to subscribe. People that subscribe to my channel are not afraid. They're brave. They embrace the truth. And this is where everybody gets together on my channel. And everybody that receives the information that I give them, they're going to be receiving powerful, truthful, unadulterated truth and knowledge of boxing. Real boxing. No bias here. Just pure boxing fans. So Jesse Rodriguez versus Fernando Martinez. It's going to be a unification bout added to the November 22nd card, which is going to have Subriel Matias versus Dalton Smith that nobody knows about, only people from England. And I'm like, why the hell did he interrupt Subriel Matias in the post-fight when he beat Puello? He took away from his moment. I believe that was disrespectful. But we'll talk about that a little later. But I'm excited about this card because Brian Norman is going to be on this card, and he's going to fight Devin Haney. Devin Haney is suspect. His chin is Flynn. Is no good. His chin is suspect, and I believe that Brian Norman will beat him. I don't care if they made him undefeated again after the Ryan Garcia Cheeto. They used that illegal substance that he took to knock out Devin Haney. They reversed the decision, but his chin is his chin. It don't matter. Like if he would have took steroids or not, he still would have knocked him down. Maybe not as much times as he knocked him down, but he still would have knocked him down or hurt him because he has no chin. But I believe that, the card is going to be stacked. It's going to have David Benavidez fighting Jaron. It's going to be a good little stiff competitor. He has a strong will. He hasn't won a championship. He always fell short in the championship fights, but he's always give a competitive effort of himself. Yarde. So that's going to be an interesting fight with David Benavidez and Yarde. Okay. Arnaldo Nieves. Dalton Smith is Eddie Hearn's boy. Matias has to KO Dalton. If not, robbery. Yeah, I believe there could be some shady stuff. There could be some shady stuff because Eddie Hearns did it with Liam Paro when he fought Subriel Matias. And I believe that, that there could be something behind the scenes that Eddie Hearns is trying to do, but they refused Puello getting the rematch. Turkey Al-Sheikh, the WBC actually refused Puello from getting a rematch with Subriel Matias, an immediate rematch. It doesn't mean that he's not getting a rematch. It's going to be a rematch later down the road because Subriel Matias said he's going to honor the rematch, and Turkey Al-Sheikh says the winner of the Dalton Smith and Subriel Matias fight will fight Puello. And what I've been reading about Dalton Smith said that he sees weaknesses in Subriel Matias, and that he said that he's going to get him in the second half of the fight, and he's going to try to see if he can get him tired, and he believes it's going to be a tough fight. He's really crazy if he's going to get him tired, but he won't get tired. Like, he's relentless, and I just feel like he might be overlooking Subriel Matias or underestimating him. One of the two. I believe his record is a decent record, 18 and 0 with 13 KOs. But who the hell has he fought? he looks good on paper, and I seen some clips of him fighting, and he looks like he has some technique and he has some power, but not nothing too crazy. And I don't think he's a technician, but he's saying that he sees weaknesses in Subriel Matias. But I think that if he sees weaknesses, when you get inside that ring, is a different story when you're actually fighting the monster. So I just believe that Puello is a really, really good boxer, and I believe Puello could beat any of the other champions besides Subriel Matias because of his style. I think Subriel Matias' style was just too much for Puello, but Puello, you saw how he looked against Gary Antoine Russell. He dominated him. It was a competitive fight, but he outboxed him and he used his skills against Gary Antoine Russell. And styles make fights, and I believe that Subriel Matias' relentless style and throwing a lot of combinations and deceptive defense really threw off Puello. So they're gonna give him the rematch, but the rematch is gonna be like later down the road. It's gonna be after the Dalton Smith fight with Subriel Matias, and Eddie Hearns, that's his fighter, Dalton Smith. So that's the reason why they gave him the limelight after the post-fight, during the post-fight of Subriel Matias' victory of Puello, Alberto Puello. I think that was disrespectful, if you ask me. They took away from his moment, and Subriel Matias alluded to that as well. He said that he's going to make him pay because something that, I don't know exactly what it was, but he said something that about Dalton Smith was that he's going to make him pay for disrespecting him in the like in the post fight. That's what I think. All right, let me see what the comments is here. Money talks, everything else walks. Arnaldo Nieves. Why you have a Puerto Rico Dylan Livian? Because I'm Boricua. That's why I got that flag. What's up? You got a problem with that? Joseph S. I like Xander Zayas. Hopefully Turkey takes him under his wing. Well, we will see. Like right now, Bob Arum has plans with him. And as far as like Xander Zayas, the WBO belt, he's supposed to make a defense in Puerto Rico against Giovanni Santillan. And he has one loss against Brian Norman, which was at welterweight. So he's fighting a guy that's coming from welterweight to go to 154. So, they're kind of like giving him fights where he could continue to grow. Xander Zayas, they're not giving him like a big, huge elite fighter like Jaron Boots Ennis. Like that. I don't think that fight's gonna be made because if the WBO has Jaron Boots Ennis ranked number 4 in the 154-pound weight division, where Xander Zayas is the champion. But as far as I know, right now they don't have Virgil Ortiz ranked in the WBO. So it appears that they're trying to make the Jaron Boots Ennis fight with Ortiz, but they're both gonna make a fight in October. Both of them, Virgil Ortiz are gonna fight in October, and Jaron Boots Ennis is gonna have separate fights on October. That's the rumor. But as far as them fighting each other, Eddie Hearn said that they're gonna make a fight in January, but we're waiting for Virgil Ortiz team to sign, and they haven't signed the contract. And then if you ask Virgil Ortiz team, they say, well, nobody approached us about a deal fighting Jaron Boots Ennis. That's fake news. That's what his manager said. That's what Virgil Ortiz manager said. Let me read the comments over here. Joseph S. Together, number 2 fan. Dylan put 2 and 2. Arnaldo Nieves. Is that guy that stupid? God Almighty. Is that guy that stupid? God Almighty. All right, so let me read the other comments. Matias has to knock out. If not, he's going to lose that belt. Garfield said, well, there's a lot of shenanigans going on behind the scenes in boxing. Anything's possible. But I feel like Subriel Matias, it's a bigger name than Dalton Smith. But I believe that the powers that be, as far as Eddie Hearns, he wants his England fighters to move up the ranks. He wants his fighters from England to get the wins and get the elite promotion and we can't trust Eddie Hearns, but I think I'm 50-50 on that. That that something could go down like behind the scenes, but I think Super Matias has a style that Turkey Al Sheikh likes, so I believe that the best man will win, hopefully, and there's no politics behind it because Turkey Al Sheikh does like Super Matias' exciting style, but I don't know what's worked out behind the scenes with Eddie Hearns and Turkey Al Sheikh as far as Dalton Smith because that took me by surprise when Super Matias finished beating Puello and they started interviewing him. That really caught me off guard when Dalton Smith came out of nowhere to interrupt the interview. I thought that was disrespectful, and that was like really came out of left field. I didn't expect that to happen. Joseph asks, "Where is Teofimo at? Where is Teofimo at? He's been missing in action, ducking Haney, ducking Matias. Hopefully the WBO strips him." I agree. Joseph asks, "Number one, though I doubt it." From what I heard in social media, what I read, nothing set in stone. But he's been going back and forth. Teofimo Lopez with Shakur Stevenson. They've been going back and forth online. But all Teofimo Lopez is doing is just blowing smoke and mirrors. He's not really signing anything. He's just mentioning names just to be relevant. Because if you really look at it, if you really study Teofimo Lopez, he has not been active as much as he should. He just talks more than he actually fights. He talks more than he actually fights in the ring. He's not that active. The last fight that he had was Arnold Barbosa, and then what did he have before that? Claggett, Sandor Martin, Jermaine Ortiz. None of those fights he won. The only one that he really won was against what's his name, Arnold Barbosa, because he was slow as hell. That's why he was able to look good against him. But I mean, he's not. There's nothing set in stone. There's no actual deal between Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez. That they just Teofimo Lopez saying that in January he's gonna fight him, but he always says that. He always calls big names out. He always calls Jaron Boots Ennis. He calls he mentions like Shakur Stevenson, Tank Davis. But when push comes to shove, he's just mentioning names. He's not really actually signing anything to actually do it. He wants the easiest fights possible or the biggest money-paying fights possible. He believes, okay, where could he possibly make the most money? With a Tank Davis fight, maybe a Shakur Stevenson fight, or a Crawford fight. That's why he called all those big names Crawford. But nobody's ducking Teofimo Lopez. Jaron Boots Ennis is not ducking Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez could not even beat Cambosis. So why would he be able to beat Jaron Boots Ennis? Jaron Boots Ennis is on another level, man. His last performance with Stanionis was amazing. I mean, I know that he gotta prove it against somebody like Crawford and somebody at a higher level, but he's still passing the eyeball test. He's passing the eyeball test with me, and I don't think that Teofimo Lopez is gonna fight Shakur Stevenson. I think that's he's just blowing smoke and mirrors. There's nothing set in stone. There's no contract signed. There's no negotiations based on what I researched. It's just him calling people out just to stay relevant. That's what he's doing. Garfield, that was Turkey calling Dalton to the ring after Matias won to Puello. Yeah, so you know what that sounds like? That sounds like Eddie Hearns' strategy. Eddie Hearns' strategic move to get his fighter in the forefront. And Turkey Al Sheikh is working with Eddie Hearns to promote that, to help promote Dalton Smith to get more visibility for him. But nobody knows who Dalton Smith is. More people know who Super Matias is. So I feel like he's more marketable because he's from Puerto Rico, and he has now he's a two-time champion, and he has an exciting style. But then you think about Dalton Smith. He's younger. He's 28. He's not a spring chicken, but the politics in boxing, anything's possible. And I believe that you never know in boxing what they're doing behind the scenes, especially with Eddie Hearns, because he's a snake. Eddie Hearns is a snake. So I feel like the fight is official though. and they keep talking about um, okay, Xander Zayas. The rumor is that Xander Zayas is gonna defend his belt in Puerto Rico. He's hoping that it lands in Puerto Rico, but it's not exactly like set in stone. Like they're working really hard. Like Top Rank is working really hard. Bob Arum. They don't work with Top Rank no more. He's working really hard to get the first defense of his title in Puerto Rico. But the fighter that's mentioned to fight Xander Zayas for his first title defense is Giovanni Santillán. He has one loss to Brian Norman. He has never fought at 154 pounds. So that's the rumor. And then after he vacates the belt, it appears to me, based on the rankings, the WBO has Jaron Ennis ranked number 4 in the WBO, and Virgil Ortiz is not ranked in the WBO. So I'm thinking once Xander Zayas moves up in weight, after he vacates his WBO, after he does his first defense of the 154 pound WBO junior middleweight championship, then they're gonna make a fight possibly with Jaron Ennis and Virgil Ortiz after their fights in October, because they're gonna have separate fights. Virgil Ortiz is gonna have a separate fight in October, and Jaron Ennis is gonna have a separate fight in October as well at 154. So I think after that, it's possible that we can get Jaron Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz, after Xander Zayas vacates his WBO after his first defense in Puerto Rico, hopefully in December. Then that's where it appears like they're going to try to make a Jaron Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz fight after Xander Zayas vacates his belt when he makes his first defense. Yeah, that's the rumor, and that's what it appears to be happening. The time in Saudi is Garfield. The time in Saudi is a problem for Matias. They have to go early to Saudi. Yeah, I thought about that too. Garfield. Like the time difference, it might affect him because, like he's used to a different time, so he has to acclimate because he's used to Puerto Rico's time, and the weather is different. And I believe that if he goes there and early, if he trains, like I believe, like let's say he leaves 2 weeks before the fight, he continues training in Saudi, it might not affect him if his body acclimates to the time and to the weather. He might have to go there early. I don't know. It doesn't. I don't like the idea of the time change, the time difference. But that's a good point that you brought up, Garfield, because I thought about the same thing. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. Subscribe to my channel. You're tuning into my channel. Yeah, and I'm also interested in the undercard of November 22nd. It's going to have so many heavy hitters in there. It's going to have Abdullah Mason versus Noakes. They're both undefeated. And it's going to be interesting because Keyshawn Davis believes that Noakes has serious power that he can tell. But he didn't say who was going to win. He just said that Keyshawn Davis said that Abdullah Mason is the skillful fighter. Is more skillful than Noakes, but Noakes is more powerful. But he said that skills don't always win fights. That's what Keyshawn Davis alluded to. Don't always win fights. It all depends. It depends. Like it's different variables. Like who has more heart, etc., and who has more skill, and who uses their skill and their heart and combine it together. It's different intangibles. But I believe that the whole card, November 22nd, David Benavidez Yarde, is going to be Abdullah Mason versus Noakes. I don't know his first name, but they're both undefeated. And then the other competitive fight is going to be Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez, the super flyweight. He's going to unify the belts with this fight. That's his goal. The WBC, WBO, Jesse Rodriguez, WBC and the WBO champion. He's going to unify with Fernando Martinez, who is the IBF and WBA champion. He's 18-0 with 9 KOs. Fernando Martinez, and Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez is 22-0 with 15 KOs. Very good records. They both have good records, and it seems like it's going to be a really competitive fight. And they might steal the show, the little guys. And I asked Yanquiel Rivera, the Puerto Rico's He's fighting for the He's fighting for the WBA interim championship, and then he's supposed to fight the Mexican champion that beat Kenshiro in Japan. He's supposed to fight him because he has the belt now. So he's gonna fight for the WBC after Yanquiel Rivera is gonna fight for the WBC after he fights for the interim WBA, Angelino Cordova from Venezuela, who's undefeated. Once he beats him, he said if he doesn't get cut, if he doesn't get injured in any way, he'll make another fight with MVP Promotions, who Jake Paul's his promoter, in December for the championship fight, not the interim, the WBC. He said that he's gonna fight most likely the Mexican that defeated Kenshiro. I don't remember the Mexican's name. It's the flyweight division. So I feel like that's interesting because I asked Yanquiel Rivera in my interview. You can check it out. I interviewed him in a previous video, like last week. It was a great interview. You guys should check it out. Tony Also Knows Boxing. Subscribe to that channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. You're tuning into my channel. So yeah, Yanquiel Rivera said, I asked him if he would ever fight Bam Bam Rodriguez, Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez, and he said that he wanted to make that fight, but it appears that Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez is going in a different direction. He's going up to the 118-pound division eventually. So I asked Yanquiel Rivera, what's the highest weight will you go to if in your career? What's the maximum weight you would go up to? And he said 115 to 118. And he said that he would like to fight Jesse Bam Rodriguez, and he said that it would be a great fight. So that is possible too in the future. Yanquiel Rivera, 7-0 with 3 KOs, is ranked number 1 in the WBA, and he's gonna fight for the interim championship WBA against Angelino Cordova. He's undefeated as well, and it's gonna be a interesting match, and we're gonna see how great Yanquiel Rivera is, and I believe he's gonna win that fight. He's gonna win by knockout or by unanimous decision. Either way, I can see him knocking him out. So yeah, check out that interview that I did with Yanquiel Rivera last week on my YouTube channel. It was awesome. It's in Spanish though, so everybody that speaks Spanish, check out that video. Check it out. It's a really good video. I interviewed Yanquiel Rivera, and I also interviewed Abisael Cotto, who's at 130-pound division, and he's fighting September 12th in Puerto Rico, and check him out. So check out those fights. And yeah, November 22nd is gonna be interesting. Brian Norman versus Devin Haney. That's also gonna be interesting. There's a lot of bad blood between them. Devin Haney and Devin Haney and Brian Norman. I believe that fight is gonna be really memorable. It's gonna be a memorable fight. So yeah, subscribe to that channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Subscribe to that channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. I'm going to give you more content later. There's a John Paul Rivera. He's going to fight the day before Yanquiel Rivera. John Paul Rivera is a undefeated Puerto Rican prospect, 12-0 with 6 KOs. And I think he's also promoted by MVP Promotions. And I think it's going to be the day before. So tune into those fights. Abisael Cotto, September 12th. On pay-per-view in Puerto Rico. That's his comeback. And Yanquiel Rivera, August 23rd in Orlando. At the Royal, I forgot the name though. It was Royal, it's in Orlando. He's going to fight there. It's going to be for a WBA interim belt against a Venezuelan fighter. So tune into that. Subscribe to that channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. And John Paul Rivera is going to fight, I believe he's going to fight before Yanquiel Rivera, the day before. So I'll come back and I'm going to get my information as far as John Paul Rivera. He's 12-0 with 6 KOs, but I think it's the day before Yanquiel Rivera fight. So tune into that. Subscribe to that channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. Peace.